Hello, good evening, and welcome to Pitch Illustration Radio here on Radio Cardiff.
The first time I went to IKEA, which was when I was about 8 years old, and I'd never been to an IKEA before, and actually in Kidderminster there's not really any places like IKEA, you know, that's like specifically like furniture and its layout in that specific way where it emulates the home. There was nothing like that. I'd never seen anything like it before, and obviously never had like an IKEA hot dog, and just like everything about it was so just like, when I think back, so consumer friendly, so rife for like children. Like it just sounded amazing. And we got there and we went around the shop, and my auntie who had taken me, she'd wandered off, and I was just hiding in this like living room. And I stayed there for like a good hour, and they were looking for me for ages, and when they found me they were like, "Sophie, where the hell were you?" And I was like, "I just want to stay here." And but yeah, so that was the first time I kind of encountered IKEA. But yeah, I think I began becoming fixated on it more so than I think like,
If you look at a lot of the political results that are happening at the moment, if you look at Brexit and if you look at the Scottish independence referendum, two things that are very much in the news at the moment, one thing that links both of these is the reaction against the centre, and with Brexit it was a reaction against Brussels, and it was telling people that if they can make their decisions closer to home, if you had sovereignty, and this idea of Brussels and Europe being a faraway idea and concept and belonging to that, and, you know, Britain felt on a lot of British people, I should say, felt on the periphery of that.
The site in the Cardiff BMW showroom, immediately south of Brains Brewery, has been recently acquired by Vastint, a company based in the Netherlands, who deal solely in property investment with a history of purchasing and converting old brewery sites into retail, office and leisure facilities. Vastint are the property investment subsection of Interogo Holding AG, who have a treasury management based in Switzerland, Luxembourg and Belgium. In addition to this, they also have two financial investment firms based in Sweden and Luxembourg respectively. The purpose of Interogo Holding AG is to manage investments and create long-term value, and so to support the longevity of Interogo Holding Foundation, who are the parent company of IKEA.
Countries, you see like very rich people, and then people who have nothing at all. A lot of the basis of whether Christianity or like Buddhism or Islam, or it's about charity. It's about helping others. Since like, so if all those like so-called religious business people and governments, and I'm gonna say governments, I'm gonna get in trouble. So if all those like religious people, all like these governments and things, if they were actually truly like religious, they would not let this happen in their country, you know? Yeah. If everyone was giving their charity, if everyone, especially the rich people, especially the people running the countries, if they were giving out to charity, no one would be poor. Think of it, you know?
The common consensus for understanding the world is science. If you were to ask any scientist why this is, they would most likely reply that science simply works. Planes fly, boats float, light leaves a projector, bounces off a surface and reflects into your eyes. All the complex feelings that one may or may not have experienced during one's lifetime are a series of chemical reactions in the brain. This makes love, objectively speaking, no different to drinking a cup of coffee.
Our brains are designed to understand the three-dimensional space around us and no more. However, one may be able to perceive aspects of the complex nature of existence beyond what we can experience in terms of physicality.
Time is a human conception.
If we consider time as a physical thing, a spatial dimension, something with actual tangibility, then things begin to unravel.
Time is a field.
Consider it a three-dimensional object in which we are passing through eternally, at one end the start of the universe, at the other its demise. Consider a cylinder, every instance a slice of this object, one universe across, but infinitely thin.
Time is a cucumber.
Time does not always pass relative being to being, and this is perhaps why, when in large groups of people or densely populated areas, it appears to dilate.
Time personal to London.
Employment is predominantly paid hourly.
Time is money.
You can't simplify things, the world is simply too complex. This simplification, politically speaking, is half of the issues we have. However, human existence is filled with infinite subtlety, but at the same time we as humans exist in the real world. In the real world there are definites: you make the sale or you don't. The bills are paid or they are not. This is why many see art as a luxury, as the world can, in terms of basic operation, carry on completely without it. This leaves us in an interesting place.
The role of social housing in the United Kingdom has been recast. Reports from assorted think tank groups stated that it was being treated as a permanent state and was thus not engaging people with a significant inspiration to aspire to a greater quality of life. That is to say, having no desire to acquire a higher income and thus not aspiring to have progressive states of mind, possibly resulting in a rapid increase of a population that was potentially idle. One of the reports cited that tenants are tied to poor neighbourhoods where the dominant culture inculcates them with values that are anti-ethical to norms and standards of mainstream society, particularly of that in relation to work. And thus, social housing has been turned into a safety net. This change has had some interesting results. If we consider that the rental market is acting under the same rules as any other market, then the removal of a solid supply of basic goods, the removal of social housing, has allowed individuals to be free to raise the price as they see fit, and the resulting factor of this is that rents can rise seemingly exponentially. The manufacturing industry in Great Britain has been predominantly replaced with service sector professions, jobs that have no material output, such as retail, property management, technical services, computing, gas electrical supplies, and banking. Individuals are no longer producing, and thus potentially suffer a loss of personal fulfillment. If we consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization is realized after self-accomplishment, so perhaps it would be extensible to suggest that those who are without regular self-realization, that is to say, undertaking in creative activities, are instead settling for self-fulfillment. To possess fashionable items, frequent vogue places, to have prestige is an efficacious way of replacing the gratification granted from producing. This is in danger, and to some degree already is, creating a rather vacuous society, a kind of absence within the United Kingdom, which is then rather intelligibly being reflected on the landscape itself.
I've spoken a lot about countries here, and but there's such an abstract concept and there's such abstract ideas of how they come about, and you look at identities and how we construct our identities. You take that back to square one. Nobody is born with an identity. Why is it the case that, you know, a lot of people, how do you describe yourself? Is it by your politics? Is it by your nationality? More likely than not, you'll find that it's defining yourself against something else. You know, for a lot of people, they define themselves by a nationality, because that nationality is unique and has a set of meanings to them.
Huge increase in population in Cardiff. I can't quite see, other than coffee shops, what trade there is here. Insurance, and government, I suppose.
In this country, we have the choice of you can have public or private healthcare. If you can't afford that private healthcare, you have the public one. In America, you have a choice of a whole variety of private healthcares, but if you don't have the money, you don't have the choice of any of them.
It's disgusting. I've waited cheese.
Of all that.
But I don't know who the people are. I don't know what it is, and I don't think it has any relationship to the city. I think it's just we are all feeling so powerless and actually not knowing who it is that's driving development.
If you don't have the money, you don't have the choice of any of them.
You're a rock and roll suicide. You're too old to lose it, too young to choose it.
No one would be for it, you know.
And the clock waits so patiently on your song. You walk past the cafe, but you don't eat when you've lived too long. Oh no, 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 you're a rock and roll suicide. Shift break the snarling as you stumble across the road. But the day breaks instead, so you hurry home. Don't let the sun blast your shadow. Don't let the milk float rob your mind. They're so natural, religiously unkind. Oh no, love, you're not alone. You're watching yourself, but you're too unfair. You've got your head all tangled up, but a man can only make it clear. Oh no, love, you're not alone. No matter what or who you
I don't know who the people are. I don't know what it is.
If you don't have the money,
Coffee shops.
Self-fulfillment.
No one would be for it.
if you have the choice
Time is money.
telling people
Insurance. Government.